Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. And today we're getting into the payment section of your Kickstarter dashboard. So I'm basically doing an entire series going through the dashboard and really just trying to be helpful for you if you're not super familiar with how this works. If this is way too basic for you, no worries. You can just skip this video, but this is really being made for people who want a little bit more hand-holding. Hope you enjoyed today's video. It's coming up right after this. Okay, so let's get into the payments section. Payments. If you ever want to email me, there's my email. You guys can send me a bunch of emails. Honestly, dude, oh my gosh, I'm so overburdened with emails. I do have someone helping me out now. I have an assistant, which is kind of cool. But still, I might take a couple of days to reply there with some of the emails. I do try to stay on top of them, but it's definitely a lot of inflow. And I also got an Instagram now. If you go and search me under my name, Salvador Briggman, it will come up on Instagram. You can see some of my bite-sized videos and podcasts there. I got a lot of great stuff in the works. I'm not trying to make this video all about this. Just really quickly, a ton of cool stuff coming for you, man. I think you're going to like a lot of stuff this year. And also, I got more educational stuff coming out. I got my Kickstarter launch formula book we can check out in the description of this video. And I'm super excited. This is going to be, I think, a really good year. But that being said, okay, let's redirect attention. Let's not get sidetracked. The first thing is understanding your recipient status, right? So if you have let's just say you're in the United States. If you have a C corporation, an S corp, an LLC, something along those lines, you might want to have a legal entity, right? But when it comes to the legal entity, you're going to need things like an EIN number, the business address, the city, the state, phone number, etc. So you might say that you have a sole proprietorship, which is really just by default what you have, honestly, in the US. You might have a corporation, you might have an LLC. You can actually launch projects as a nonprofit on Kickstarter. You just can't raise money for charity, right? So you could technically launch a project, or you could have a partnership. So you would select essentially what you want here, and then you would just fill out all this information, and that would be a tax information for the IRS or for your records, essentially, so that you know how the designations work. So you can click this, and you can learn some more if you want to about this. I'm not going to go through that entirely on this video. I think I have another video on taxes too, by the way. If you want to do as an individual, individual is someone who's basically not a legal entity in the eyes of the government. What does that mean? That means that if someone buys your product and they use it incorrectly and they harm themselves in some way, they could technically come after you and sue you personally, and your financial assets would be liable under a court of law. If you have a separate organization, let's just say Google, right? If Google gets sued, they're a C corporation, the stockholders of Google are not going to face any ramifications, right? Unless they were directly involved with it somehow. So by having a legal entity, what it does as a business owner is it separates your liability, which is why they call it a limited liability company, right? Because if you establish separation from the owner by using different bank accounts, etc., you can shield yourself from some liability. So if you have a very iffy product category where you think there might be issues, right, then you might want to use a legal entity instead of doing it yourself. And also if you intend to run a business after the fact and use this as kind of a starting jumping off point to do that. Now, when it comes to the identification, this is really just very basic. A lot of obviously tech companies are making you do this nowadays. Your legal info, no nicknames or abbreviations. So I wouldn't use Sal. I'd use Salvador. I wouldn't use TK, which is my nickname in my personal life, which actually stands for Te quiero, which means I love you in Spanish. Instead, I'd use Salvador, right? Salvador Briggman. So you just want to verify this, and then this would be fine. You might need a couple business days there. Next is the bank account. So the bank account is going to be where the funds are directly deposited into after the campaign is finished. And one of the most important things here is, you can see here, this account should support direct deposits and be located in the United States for this particular one, because I have a US based account. You have to just add your checking and this kind of stuff. Make sure your details are correct. They don't do wire transfers, savings account, or virtual bank accounts. So you just have to fill this out. It might take you, 5 minutes to do. but give it a couple of days, because this is going to take 3 days to verify this. So make sure you do this a little bit ahead of time before launching your campaign. This YouTube video is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people, and they've been around since 2012. They're Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns. If you have a tech or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. Check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. And the final part is your payment source. So the payment source would be something that is tied to the same individual or legal entity that is running the Kickstarter campaign. This would be an event of things like chargebacks, right? So make sure that you enter your payment source, and then if a backer files a dispute, then that might come up there. So this is something that it's really trying to hold people a little bit accountable. I think they're trying to, but so you see here, it says when it comes to like a credit card being processed and then the reward shipping out, they might try to have some kind of a dispute with the credit card company if you have a very, very angry backer. And in that case, if the dispute is lost, then the card might be charged in order to repay the backer's card issuer. So this is kind of like something that when I was getting started wasn't a case, but I think that it's important to obviously just do this for making sure you have a good relationship with your backers, but also it's good for keeping your account verified and making sure that everything is fine. I don't usually see this happening very often, to be honest, where there is some kind of a dispute, but it is something that might happen more in the future. Who knows, right? So this is something that's a little bit newer, but you can have there. If you want to, you can read a little bit more about disputes and the way that this works on Kickstarter, and when chargebacks happen, how it works, the investigation behind it. I think if you had a very, let's say, financially fraudulent campaign, then it might be an issue. For most people out there, it's probably not going to be a major issue. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. You took some value away from it. You at least have a sense of how you need to verify this ahead of time so that you don't have a couple of days there worth of lag before going live. And my name is Sal, and I will see you next time.